I would say he established ways of operating in the world that allowed him maximum creative freedom. There was a hands-on, do-it-yourself attitude, which I guess he was used to, where he could do everything but print the books. He could typeset them, did the artwork, he could do the words, he could get the proofreader. But even then, he was meticulous in that way too. So he didn't need much from other people, but he did need the book to be in bookshops. He needed it printed, he needed marketing, publicity. And in a way, I don't think it's as self-conscious of this, but almost his disorganization, the kind of bluster, the sense of eccentricity, it was a way of protecting what he really wanted to do and making sure that other people didn't mess with his ideas. Anyway, so I think a lot of his skill and success was about single-minded vision. And there's that expression, genius finishes things. And I don't know, he was always good at the finishing things, but he had this tremendous work ethic. The amount of work is phenomenal.
Well, he's certainly a bit of a perfectionist. I think mostly he knew pretty much what he was doing. I think he was pretty decided. I think he was pretty much in command. There would be maybe things that we added in, like make things into a set that maybe weren't quite a set, but we'd kind of like, if there was a line around outside, we'd make that line the same size to make them work as a group. I mean, a lot of these things we had a hand in what size they actually turned out. They're not necessarily the same size as the original drawing that he did. Let's say you can nudge him a wee bit, but he was ultimately in control.
When you watched him making stuff, he just focused on making the thing that he was trying to make until he'd finished. So the number of times we came up to stay and stuff, I would have had a busy day in the studio and he'd been up sitting, writing all day. And then we'd go out and have dinner, play some games, chess, come back to the house. He'd be like, right. And he'd pull out his manuscript and sit down at the kitchen table and demolish the whiskey and write till 6 or 7 in the morning. And he was 70 at the time. I'd wake up at 6 in the morning with a note left to me saying, apologies, I'm going to sleep for a while and then go for a walk. I finished your whiskey. I will buy some more later today. Because he wanted to deliver the best thing he could for what he was trying to do. And he was the same with everything he did. And he was so talented that the medium almost didn't matter. You could read a poem and see the line of pigment in a painting mean the same thing. So he's trying to express something. And the beauty of his talent and genius is that he can think of something and say, right, well, that's a poem, or this is a mural.
You were at a bar and you would get drawn. I'm surprised half the bars in Glasgow don't have something indelible on the bar that he's just scribed into it and filled it in with ink and Tipp-Ex, But he was also always covered in paint and ink. He would leave a mark everywhere. He would just sit with a fountain pen and just do it freehand. How many over the years have gone? Not ones that were known, but he did them in people's living rooms, in their bedrooms, as favours, as just because he was there crashing for a couple of weeks. He would end up painting for his keep, as artists used to do hundreds of years ago, not 40 years ago.